Google Gemini has just taken a huge step forward. It now has the ability to generate downloadable files such as PDFs and Word documents, and can create docs and sheets directly inside a Google Drive for you. At first glance, this may not seem like a huge deal, but this may be one of the biggest updates to Gemini that foreshadows some incredible things that Google is cooking up for Gemini. This update is already rolling out to all Gemini users. When you log in, nothing is going to look different, but you can just come over to the text box and tell it what you want it to create. So here I'm asking it to look up what the rumors are about what Google will announce at Google I/O 2026, and then to create a Google Doc with all of its findings. Here's the report. If you want a preview of it, you can click on this card. That will show you a quick preview of it. But to actually open it up in Google Docs, you can click on the link. And if you want to make any changes to this, at the bottom here will be a Gemini bar. This isn't going to be available for all users. It depends on your subscription, but I could tell it any changes I want in here. So for instance, I can say, make this title much stronger hook that will really draw people in. And then it will show me what changes it made. And if I like them, I can accept them or I can reject them. Returning back to the Gemini chat, I will now tell it to take this information and to create a slide deck for it. This will be created directly inside of Gemini, but after you open this up, if you like it, you can click on Export to Slides. And then here it is in Google Slides, the same exact slide deck. And of course, you can make any changes you want. So you can ask Gemini over here, or even just click this button that says Enhance this slide. Once again, this may not be available to you depending on what your plan is with Google AI. For this next example, I've uploaded, looks like 6 or 7 different receipts from a trip I recently took. And I'm going to ask Gemini to take all of them and to create an Excel file with all of the expenses listed, how much they were for, the date, and basically everything I need for QuickBooks. I'll send that along. Here it is. So you can open this up and then download it. I also created from it, or told it to create for me, a CSV version to show you that it also supports CSV. And then finally, I asked it to create a Google Sheets version, which is working on right now. There it is. So again, you can click on this to preview it or click on the link to actually open it up. And as before, Gemini in here can help you make any changes to this, like creating formulas or changing the formatting. They also have this really cool thing called Canvas. So if you click on Create Canvas and tell it to create an interactive dashboard, and it'll create something like this, where you can see the same information just visualized differently. And you can always return back to your data by clicking up here where it says View Data. Let's continue this example though. I'll come back to Gemini. Let's start a new chat, and I will tell it, find my Las Vegas trip expenses log in Google Sheets, and then create a PDF that goes over where I've spent the most money and where I can save money in the future, include graphs. So I want to demonstrate for you here that this is not only capable of producing PDFs, but it's also able to pull information from your Google Drive. In this case, it's this spreadsheet, and to incorporate that into any new documents or files that it creates for you. So here's a quick rundown of what it found, but of course I'll open up the PDF. And here it is, total trip expenses, $179. All of that was on meal and a little bit, or most of it was on meals, some of it was on transportation. Here's a pie chart, here's a graph, or a bar graph, I should say, and where most of the money was spent at the egg shop, which I dined out at 3 times, and some suggestions to save money in the future. Gemini can create other files as well, such as Markdown files. So I'm going to ask it to put together a set of instructions for Claude Cowork. Claude Cowork, it's a completely separate tool, but it's one I talk about a lot on my channel. That works best when I give it information in a Markdown file. So that's why I'm telling Gemini to do this research and then to pull it into a Markdown file so that I can then put it on my computer so Claude Cowork can easily read it and understand it. So this is what it looks like. It looks a little bit different than the other files that we've created. But to download it, you can just click here where it says download code, and it will be saved as a Markdown file. There are several other file types that Gemini can now create as well, and it can also create multiple files at once. So here you can see the list of different file types that I'm asking it to create, and I'm telling it to create 20 of them each, which contain one funny joke each. So you can see here, it has now generated all 20 files in all the different formats. We can open up any of these and see what the joke is. Why are ghosts such bad liars? Because they're easy to see through. Now, as great as this is, it isn't without its faults. It's still struggling in a few areas that I've noticed. Here, for instance, I had it put together this research report for me, and it contains this table that I didn't like. So I told it to get rid of the table. Instead of getting rid of the table inside of this Google Doc, though, it created a V2, the same exact document, but a duplicate of it, and it removed the table. And that's pretty consistent. If you tell it to edit anything you have in Drive, it will duplicate it and then make the changes and call it V2. So that's a bit unfortunate. I would love to be able to come into Gemini and tell it to make changes to really anything inside my Google Drive and have it just be able to do that. I've also found that in certain situations, it struggles with creating PowerPoints. So here I told it to put together a PowerPoint again on Google I/O, and it didn't the first time. It created these slides instead over here on the side. So I actually told it, no, I want a PowerPoint file. So it created the PowerPoint for me, but this is what it looked like, just very bad, right? So then I said, well, no, what I want you to do is make it look nice with images and diagrams and colors. So then once again, it created the slides for me instead of creating a PowerPoint file. So I said, no, I want a nice looking PPTX that has images, diagrams, and colors. And instead it just gave me code. So it does struggle there a little bit. Overall though, I am quite happy with this. If Google gives us the ability to edit existing files in Drive using Gemini, I think that will be a total game changer. One place where Gemini has really been struggling in comparison to tools like ChatGPT and Claude is that it feels like it's too self-contained. Look at what Claude has done with Cowork or OpenAI has done with Codex. Those are agents that can actually do work for you where your work exists. You don't need to create files in Cowork and then move them into the right folder. Cowork will make the files in the right folder or update files in your folders for you. Gemini has lacked that ability, but this is starting to break down that barrier. If you're using Google Drive, Docs, and Sheets, this is a huge step forward for Gemini and what they're calling workspace intelligence. In fact, I have a whole video planned where I'm going to show you all the workspace intelligence features that are already available for workspace users and Google AI Pro and Ultra subscribers. If you want to make sure you catch that video when I release it, make sure to subscribe to the channel, and then I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.